Hey guys, back again. I promised another video today, so there is another video. But this time, getting serious. Alright, let's do it. Got the parts all cleaned up. Remember I showed you in the last video, it's called Husky 3120 cases. That's that build, and I showed you the top of that cylinder, and it was quite dirty. Now it's not so much, okay? All that carbon's gone off there. There's still a bit of a black mark in there. You don't really need to get that off. It's a smooth surface now. There's nothing going to flake off there or damage the saw in any way. Yeah, and you can notice that it's got an arrow on the top there. You can just see that little, is that the mark? Oh, sorry. Where is it? There, yeah. Yeah, that is an arrow. Okay, that little mark there. And that shows you that that is the way the piston faces in the cylinder, okay? And that faces the exhaust port. Remember that, it's very important, otherwise you're going to have a hell of a time. The other indication that you will know for cylinder way or placement to, piston placement to go around is that it has these pins in the back of it. Okay, and those pins are locators for the rings, and when that's sitting inside the cylinder, those will pinch up tight like that and held like that. And this is always, those pins are always on the intake side, okay? So arrow to the exhaust port, pins to the pins that are in the ring landings there. And that goes to the intake side, and that's how we know. Now I took this apart, so I always leave one side in there with the gudgeon clip. Alright, so I've taken one gudgeon clip out. I always know where that gudgeon clip is. I only need to take out one side. New saws or rebuilds I'm doing with new cylinders, I have to put both of these in, and I will assemble a gudgeon clip in there like that before I put this piston on there. I do it for ease, and I do it the side of the saw that's easiest to access for work is usually on stills. It's the flywheel side. On Huskies it may be the other way around, it may be the PTO side, just because there's a big bar across the top here, but I'm just going to do it the same way I always do things anyway, even though it's a Husky, because that's just the way I feel comfortable doing things. But the bar shouldn't present too much of a problem or issue. Alright, so as we carry on, one thing you want to do, grab that needle cage and you want to grease it up. Alright, greasy inside there. Always get a screwdriver and just sort of tuning screwdriver and just sort of mush it around inside there so it gets all greasy. I'll do that on the outside of this bearing as well, just cake it all around, because you want everything. Okay, so you can just see it's got a bit of grease on it now. You want everything to have a nice, wet, smooth, silky start in life when you're doing this sort of thing. So here we go. Flip you around. Okay, here we go into the saw now. It's placed in there. You can just rest that in there. Some people do have chocks and stuff to hold this stuff up. I haven't bothered to get myself one yet. So the other thing we need for this operation is the other clip, which I've got here. That I can't pick up, my stubby fingers. Alright, got it. So you got the other clip there. Alright, and that gudgeon pin. In case you're wondering why my thumb looks so mutilated and funny like that, is because it actually is missing about 10 mils off the top of it from a bench saw. Yeah, not the smartest thing I ever did. First day of my joinery apprenticeship. I reckon most joiners are missing bits and pieces though. The guy who taught me was. The guy who he took over from was. So yeah, perilous trade. Okay. So, as I said before, those pins and arrows to the front, pins to the back. And you put the down on and slide the gudgeon pin in, and then struggle with it for 2 hours to line it up. Just joking about that, you shouldn't do if you're better at this than me, which most of you probably are. You know, that can sometimes just need a bit of a tap to go in there. Which you can provide with a hammer that I have out of my reach. It's just a tap to line it up. Sorry for the shakiness. Alright, that's so gentle. Okay, there's really no pushing. This is what I find handy, actually, this steel hex driver. That's the other thing I find it handy for. There's part number if you want it. That's on my tool video as well. That's an 8mm hex driver. I find handy to drop it is just pushing those pins in, just so they're seated, and that's just all done gently. Okay, so that pin's in there. Now the next thing you get in is your clip, which I showed you before. You'll need a pair of pliers to do that. Okay, and these Husky ones are quite handy because they have these little extra bits. I don't know if you can see that little lip there on them, so you can just grab it in your pliers there like that. Okay, and you can sort of just use that to help you get this in there without it hopefully flying halfway around the room. Okay, that's there. I'll bring you around and show you. Make sure those little wings on that clip are light. Make sure the little wings on the clip are facing up to the top of the piston like that. If you can see it in there. Hang on, is there a better position I can get this in? Oh yeah, there. So, you see the little clip there? Make sure that's up the top so it doesn't slip around. That's the best position they say to have them. The other one on the other side is the same as there. So you can see the gudgeon pin and everything all in. Alright, it's got a little rate it fits in there. Make sure when you're doing that you're keeping your thumb over that clip so that it doesn't fly off, because man, they go. And can you find them? No, you can't. I feel like buying a lotto ticket every time I do though. So yeah, that is that part of the process. So I've got our piston in here, it's all aligned. You can see that the arrow is clearly facing the front, and you've got the gaps in the back of the piston rings there facing the exhaust side, and this facing the rear, the intake side. Okay, so we've got that all done. There's actually just a little bit of something there. I'll just trim, because I don't know if that's going to affect the saw. Right, part of the gasket, just trimming that little tab there, just so it doesn't affect anything later on. So now we've got our cylinder is all ready to go. Okay, all ready to go in. So we'll put that in now, and we need the gasket, of course, and that comes in that same gasket set with the parts number I showed you. Okay, so this is what your cylinder gasket looks like. All right, and the way it faces, I'm guessing. Right. So this is important too on these. Is that back bit, the way it's facing. See how it's got that cutout that it makes a square out of the circle, or a square end out of the circle. So this part of it, all right, that goes to the intake side. The reason that is because if you put it around the wrong way on this, okay, you see this little hole here? Sorry, it's here. That is the impulse line. So if you put it around the wrong way, you're going to cover your impulse hole, and then your carb's not going to run, and then you're going to be wondering why the hell your saw's not going. So the correct way to have this is so that square's at the back, and you can see it's clearly open now. Okay, too easy. All right. So when I'm putting a cylinder together like this, the key things that I worry about, and I don't know why, but I worry about it leaking in here through this gasket area, and I don't know why I do, but I do. And so what I'm doing is I'm just gonna pop a little hole in my Pertex Ultra Black here. Blum, that's what I use as my gasket maker. And I'll just stick a little hole in that so I can get some out. Yep, that's coming out now. And I'll just get some on my finger. Alright, I'll just dab it around here. So I'll sort of smooth it out evenly like this. Then I'll go back through with my finger and just sort of stipple it on there. So you're dabbing it. Okay. And do that all the way around. Don't worry, you won't block that impulse hole with this. Okay? That sits in here, inside of that cylinder. See that? See how it's got that little cut out there? That square cut out there? That's where your impulse line is. So it sits inside. It doesn't actually sit on this cylinder skirt landing. All right. So that makes life easy, because it's got to be inside the cylinder to get that pulse of air as the piston moves up and down to power your carb. Okay, that powers the diaphragm in your carb, if you didn't know. Most of you probably do. I actually enjoy this part of the build, dabbing this stuff on. It's kind of like, I don't know, kind of therapeutic for some reason. It's just my weirdness. I like it. Actually, I find saw building therapeutic, you know, because you're out in your cave, you're by yourself. There's no one who will trouble you. Right, let's punch that back up. Sorry, I was just sorting out gasket maker. Right, now your gasket can go down on there now. Hopefully it fits over the cylinder. It does. Some gaskets don't. 4 gaskets don't fit over the piston, so you have to remember to put them on first. I probably should have done this first. Okay, but this one does. It just can fit straight over that piston. So remember, this is to the back, or to the I call it the back of the saw, but it is to the intake side. Alright, and that just sits down there nicely like that. You'll know you got it right because you can see that gasket fitting around that square cutout on this side of the saw, on the flywheel side of the saw. It doesn't have one on that side. It still has that same cutout. I guess it's so you can flip the gasket either way. And it doesn't matter. You don't get it wrong. You just want to make sure that gasket's that's sitting on there all sticky. So you can just sort of move it around and get it sitting on there. You don't need the goo on this side, okay? I only do it because I worry about that one side. It's just like an insurance, saw building insurance policy for me, the gasket maker, really. Okay, so just move that around there until you've got that lined up with those 4 holes. Because when you're sliding cylinder down, you don't want it interfering with your cylinder bolts going in. Next part of the deal is grab dab. Grab dab of 2-stroke oil. Alright, and we are going to do this. Why are we doing this, coating up these rings and everything, is because you never want a saw going together dry. You don't want metal on metal. Okay, it's not good. Doesn't make for a happy saw. Okay, so that goes all around those ring landings and the rings, and some more 2-stroke oil around the top of your cylinder here. Okay, just get it. Make sure it's not, make sure it's all clean 2-stroke oil. I use 2-stroke oil because it's a lubricant and it's going to be what's in there when you start the saw anyway. It just means that the saw might smoke a bit more on start because it's clearing that oil, but it doesn't matter so much for build purposes. You need something in there. So that's all lubricated, all inside the cylinder, and this is all lubricated around there now. And now we have the job of fitting this in. So I've got the exhaust port there, alright, and that just goes down onto the ring landings. Make sure they are sitting with their in line with those pins at the back. Okay, so it's all sitting there. And you're just gonna, now this is where you can, if you muck around too much, you can actually snap rings. So don't do that. Okay, that's gone over the first ring now. Normally rings can be a bit more of a fight on some saws, especially new builds. And just work these rings in. until they're sitting in there nice. And it all slips in there. As you don't want to force it and break those rings. Okay, so that's all in there now. Just worked it around. And down it goes to seat. Alright, so now you grab a long tool to reach down there. I've found I didn't have the Allen key for these. Okay, so I've found a T30 Torx, because that's what I've got because I work on stills. Actually fits really snugly in there, and that is tight, and that's not going to damage anything at all. So I just go down into there with that, and I will find that first hole. Okay, lift that up a bit just to make sure. Oh, you know what I forgot? I'm not going to do that at all. I forgot to put a washer in, and that's not cool. So slide a washer in there, and just push that in with the screwdriver down the bottom. Okay, so yeah, don't forget those washers on this saw. Don't forget those washers. Okay, so that's just going to go down to there now. You know, I don't put them all the way in, so I wait till I got them all in, in case I need to move things around. So I'm just going to sneak in there with that next washer, hopefully. Oh yeah, you can use the pliers just to hold that washer as you grab your screwdriver and the next screw, and down it goes. Just look down there so you can see where that washer's sitting. I may have to reach it. This one's just flipped up a bit. That's gone in there now. See that going down into there. Alright, next washer. Man, washers on a cylinder. Really? Come on, Husky, come on. I don't know, it just seems weird to me. It's probably a good thing. Maybe Still's doing it wrong, eh? What? You didn't hear that from me, though. No, great saws, Huskies. I know I give them grief, but they are good saws. One of their best uses, though, is boat anchor. Like if you haven't got an anchor and you're out at sea and you've got a Husky, tie a rope around it, boat anchor. Beautiful. See, I just can't help being mean to them, eh? It's like there's no need for that, really. But yeah, so this one at the back's quite tricky. I'm just going to stop bagging Huskies, calling them boat anchors, and just reach down the back here and put that washer in there. It's not wanting to let go. My screwdriver my thing must be slightly magnetised. There you go. Right. Reach down there again and get that in place. Now, if you were smart, you could put all the screws in place. Just have them dangling there when you want to when you're sliding down that cylinder. Okay, that's if you're smart though. If you want to do it the hard way, then you can do it the way I'm doing it. Okay, that is still going to move, so I'm just using my screwdriver, my tuning screwdriver, to reach in there. That's what I mean, tuning screwdriver, when you're building saws. Like I was saying on my toolbox video, they're so handy. Alright, so all of the screws are in now, and I'll just move you up a bit there so you can see the pattern in which I work. So I'm just going to seat them all. Alright, now that's down a bit. Just going to make sure. Right, I like bottom dead centre to just get that cylinder sitting there. Walt from A-Fleet Command, he says that, so I do that. A lot of my knowledge comes from watching other YouTubers build saws. Bit of it comes from my old man as well, my dad, who's an awesome two-stroke mechanic. So I'm not working in a cross pattern yet, I'm just making sure they're all seated right down. Alright, so that is seated right down. So now I'm going to start here, just because, but I should. And I'll crank that up, and then I'll move to the back. There. And I'll crank that up, and then I'll move across to this one, and I'll crank that up, and I'll move across to this one, and I'll crank that up, and then back to the start. That goes a little bit more now. That one. Probably being a bit overzealous, but that makes sure it's all evenly down on the top. Okay. So there we have it. Those are all down as about as tight as they're going to get. I'll just go back through and check them. Yep. I know those other two are, so I'll leave it there. Yep. So those are not going anywhere, and that T30, that worked really excellent. Really excellent. So you can, instead of that size Allen key, you can use a T30. You probably do that for all the different sizes. Just use those. Anyway, so here we are. That's the cylinder all in. That's set, ready to go. If I take you down here, you can see that gasket goes squishing out, doing what it's supposed to do. And in here as well. See it all squishing out. So that's gonna set, and all the screws are hard down in there. Okay. So that is set now. That cylinder and piston, they will just be brilliant in there. And now we go for the rest of the bolt for bolt. So this is pretty much a bolt for bolt, building a saw. A Husky 3120 XP, big boy. So because it's got no compression, I can move this really easy. it just thumps over. And it's all nice and lubed up in there. And that's moving really nice in there. So the rest of the bolt for bolt we will do on another video, because this is another 30-minute one. So I hope you liked the video. Used to rage on about liking and commenting and subscribing, but I actually don't care. I'm not going to say that anymore. So yeah, don't do it. I don't care. I'm building these because I love building saws. That's what I'm here for. I love building saws. Absolutely love it. Oh, the other thing about this gasket, I'll just quickly show you before I go. Think your background, right. This gasket sticks up from here, so I use that sharp blade to trim all that. On the stills, you actually get a heat shield that goes in here for the muffler, and that stops the, I think it stops the oil boiling inside here. So if I've got a spare still one, I might put that in there. There was no one on the Husky one. I don't know if they require it, but it stops the bar oil boiling. But as far as things go, this saw's back together. Main parts, that's your main crank done, that's your main cylinder done, down, and those are the big parts of the saw: cylinder, casings, bearings, and your crankshaft all in there. And the only other thing I'll do to those, and I usually do it when I'm putting the saw together on stills, is that I'll go in there and I'll grease up the bearings. While I'm putting, before I put things together, but I can get to all the bearings on the outside of these Huskies before I put it together, so you'll be able to see me greasing up those bearings for a greased start before I put the seals in and everything like that. Remind me if I don't do it though. Remind me. So yeah, alright guys, awesome. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time as the build continues. And yeah, still for life. Have a good one.